Yes, good morning and welcome to this edition of Smart Means Business. My name is Falda Chirabo, and today we are simply going to be shining a light on the business spectrum of Uganda's economy. And with me, of course, I have an interesting guest. But we can't forget to see or acknowledge how much the sports industry plays even on a global scale. So it does contribute about 10% to GDP annually on a global scale, and this is attributed to about $700,000 every other day. So the Ugandan industry, of course, is big on sports, and I would say that the government is doing a lot. At the end of the day, it leads to talent acquisition. There is a lot of infrastructure development. And when I say that, of course, I would love to talk about the incoming 2027 Africa Cup of Nations in Uganda, per se. And with that, the government is actually doing a lot of work when it comes to that space. We see that they are constructing, or they have started construction when it comes to the stadiums, and that is one known as Akibua, which is in northern Uganda, and they are naming it, interestingly, a name that also happens to be one of the names of the first gold medalists of the Ugandan space. We also see that they are constructing one in Hoima as well, just to prepare for these incoming games and that are going to be happening in Uganda. So that being said, I do believe that the sports industry is one that should be tapped in when we talk about sports and the environment, because it does actually lead to economic growth. Though I would say that the statistics when it comes to GDP were very hard for me to locate, but that is surely not a problem, because at the end of the day, we see that the work that is being done is actually really big. And when you talk about the sports industry as well, every other day, Uganda is being a host to a number of sports events, such as the rugby games, as well as the football matches. And only that alone leads to a boost in the tourism and hospitality sector, because when people come in, they end up wanting to sleep somewhere, you know. And at the end of the day, when you look at it, the number of people who have taken part in the sports alone have enabled us to attain a name when it comes to the global scape. For example, many runners from the northern Uganda region, of course, have been able to help us get there, the Cheptegei's. So that alone has made a landmark for Uganda's economy. Now, interestingly, with me today, I have to that we've had these conversations over time. And the passion we have today so happens to be in the sports industry. And with me, the guest is known as Davis Shimwa, and he is the captain and a player of the Rugby Sevens, the Rhinos Rugby Club, but he is also a player on the national rugby team, and that is the Sevens. Okay, there is a number of, there is a lot to do with Sevens, which confuses me because I don't know what Seven stands for, but I'm sure by the end of the day, we are going to be well versed with that means, with what that means, and he is going to clarify more. So you're welcome for this show.
Thank you so much, Founder. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
There's not much to it. I'm called Davis Shimwa.
Okay.
I'm a young man, just completed the university. I play rugby. It's the reason I'm here today. Sometimes I play for the national team. Yeah. And other times
that there is a number of people who actually end up dropping out by the end of the day. So what keeps you there personally?
The biggest reason that I have been able to stay in rugby is passion.
Okay.
Yeah, I started rugby when I was in senior one. Okay, like P5, but I was playing tag. I started contact rugby in senior one at King's College, Budo. I managed to play for my school team, entire school, okay, and St. Mary's College, Chisubi, at the national level, on the East African level. It's a sport it's a contact sport. It's brutal to the eye, so you must, and to the body as well, so you must be ready for it. And if you aren't, you're probably going to drop out, like you just said. Okay. So I soared after high school, when most people leave the sport. I took it on casually and managed to You know, I just said, if not, if I'm going to eat a frog, let me eat a fat frog. And I decided to take it seriously. I took the gym seriously. Before I knew it, I was playing club rugby at Rhinos in 2020. And in 2022, I got my first national team call-up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's very amazing. So what has been maybe your biggest milestone on this journey of rugby?
I think my biggest milestone is being able to represent the country. That must be the epitome for most rugby players in the country. We're all looking to represent the national colors and do the country proud while we do that. So that must be my biggest milestone. I'm looking to achieve more, maybe play at bigger stages now with maybe bigger fraternities. You never know. You never know what's unwrapped, what the world has for me.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that piece of information. Now, maybe I would love to know how do you think rugby can be used to create business opportunities or platforms who are involved in it?
Well, just like any other circle, any other community, rugby is a community that is focused on developing the people within and around it. So, setting up a business in a circle like rugby, I would give the same advice I would give anyone to set any other business anywhere. The people that you meet at the pitch, these are opportunities for you to network. You never know who's going to be your next client. I know so many people that have been able to make significant amounts of money from their rugby circles. There's clubs that have very great PR, very great fan base, a huge fan base. Clubs like Heathens, that's the biggest club in Uganda. Rhinos is also a club that has very, very, very vast connections, very vast networks. Like the people who you meet at these games are the first supporters of your business. Yeah, so I feel like if someone is going to start a business, and if someone has something, and it doesn't even have to be a business, you could have an idea, and you pitch it, and your idea actually makes sense. You never know who's going to hear it. You never know who's going to be interested and, you know, chip in to help you.
Okay, so maybe when it comes to what you've said, when it comes just to the sport of rugby, besides networking, what are some of the business perspectives that someone can be able to get out of just being in that space of sports and rugby?
Well, okay, for starters, people who do the branding, I've seen most people who do sports branding, jerseys branding, selling kits, boots, those must be one of the most popular businessmen in a sport like rugby. If someone is selling good quality, say, boots are not the same as soccer boots, if you didn't know that. So it's very hard to have someone who has authentic rugby boots. And if you have access to that, if you can get access to that and bring it to the community of rugby, you're going to make a lot of money. Rugby is a sport surrounded by lots of joy, and people love to merry-make. If you are a sharp businessman and you start a small bar next to a rugby pitch, it could be an idea. I've seen people at Impis Rugby Grounds doing this. People come up every now and then when there are games, and they bring their beers and they sell them. And if you keep investing in that kind of, if you track your progress and make sure it's regular, in the next 5 years, your 5 crates will become 5 stories. Yeah, you just have to probably be as devoted as anyone would be in any other business. 5 years ago, the Rugby Chill was started by Isaac Masanganzira. It's a player who I really look up to. He started Chill 5 years ago at his home ground, like his club's home ground, where they play. And 5 years later, it's one of the biggest events that sounds in the rugby community and other communities. It doesn't just attract people from rugby, it attracts so many people from the neighboring areas, people on social media that hear about it. It's a really big thing. And this started by just, you know, putting I believe, I mean, I don't know how he started it, but I believe it's about putting an idea and then making an action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe my next question would be a non-scripted one, and it would be in relation to being a young person in this day and age. And being on the route of chasing a passion and trying to make a living out of it, right? What are some of the ups and downs on that road that you are comfortable sharing, of course?
Well, it's tight because it's underrated how much it takes for someone to balance having a professional athlete career, say like something that I'm doing, as well as doing your books, and then having your professional career because you're not studying for nothing. So if you have, it's a bit tricky. It has been a bit tricky learning to juggle the three, and then also making time for your friends and your family, and it demands a lot of devotion, especially your body. The body is a very, very weak vessel. It's your spirit. You have to have passion. That's exactly why I believe it's the only thing that keeps me going. The passion to make my parents proud, the passion to play the sport and excel at the highest level. Yeah, I feel like passion is the biggest steering factor that I use to get through this hurdle. But that must be the tightest situation.
Okay, so maybe one something else that I would love to know is what do you think needs to be done to publicize the role of sports, the importance of sports, when it comes to people who are still in school, or just to make it a popular thing that can be used to make or generate a lot of income for people in the long run?
Well, sports is a very untapped sector, especially in this country. Sports is a very big part of the entertainment industry, and countries that have been able to tap into that mine, that gold mine, are thriving. We've seen countries like Japan. Japan is it's a country that everyone knows is a very developed country in Asia. Japan has started, in detail, specifically rugby, it has started shopping players from bigger leagues to promote their local league. Same way people say Ronaldo went to Dubai to play soccer there. He's retiring there, he's probably just promoting their league. Everyone is going to tune in to watch Dubai soccer because Ronaldo is playing. Everyone will tune in to watch Japan rugby because Katley Arendse is playing. So if Ugandans were able to, I feel like the government should be able to see this and take action. Uganda has long distance runners for days. I don't think there are very many there are not many countries in Africa that can compete with Ugandans physically. People from Kapchora, people from Karamoja, our long distance runners are second to none. Cheptegei has made the world record. It's like tea for him. He just breaks it when he feels like. We have Ugandans like Philip Okorach playing rugby in France, and Philip Okorach is a young, talented athlete. If the Ugandan government came to take more players like Philip Okorach, who are upcoming, people like Aaron Tukey, if they're given the right investment, the right attention, I feel like it's a gold mine that we have not tapped into as Uganda. And I really urge the government to take it more serious. And they have, because just last year, Uganda hosted a Rugby Africa tournament in Kampala. It was a one-week tournament. Very many countries were here. The budget was up to 12 billion. I think the Uganda rugby budget that was passed for that tournament. So it shows the level of attention that sports is getting at the political level or the administrative level, for the government to come and say, you know what, this is worth investing in. So I really commend them also on the construction of the Kibua stadiums in the north for the upcoming CAF tournament. It's a really, it's a good gesture. It promotes, it gives these sportsmen energy, like that energy to just keep going. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. And when you said it, when you speak about it, you speak about it in a wide perspective. I would love to know more when it comes to a personal perspective, yeah? What are the possibilities of a rugby player being spotted and taken up by the international sports forums to be able to play for them, so that maybe they can add us on the map? Because, okay, just to take you a little bit away from rugby, we see that in football alone, a number of countries have representatives, African countries have representatives in these European teams, but it hasn't yet happened for Uganda, right? And when I take it back to the rugby space, how do you think that can be able to happen, or has it already happened?
Well, I feel like what it takes for a rugby player to be spotted is mostly about you personally as a player, how much you're willing to put in, how much effort you've put in, because our biggest rugby expert, Philip Okorach, was a young boy from Naguru who has made a dream come true. And people may not believe it, but it's completely hard work. Grind from morning to evening, and if you do that, then you're definitely going to be spotted, because Uganda plays in tournaments that are that are viewed by scouts.
Okay.
The national team has great coaches. You have all the opportunity you need to get spotted, so it's basically down to you as a player how much you're willing to push yourself to get there.
Oh, okay. So, of course, we are still having a number of interesting conversations with the young gentleman, or the gentleman, Mr. Davis, and we are going for a brief break, and we shall be right back. Please stay tuned.